Okay, great. Hi everyone. Sorry I'm a little late for our video, but today we're going to be, I'll be talking, my name's Julia Mossbridge, by the way. I am the co-author with Theresa Cheung of the Premonition Code. You can find out more about the book at thepremonitioncode.com, and the website I'm going to be using today to talk about something called controlled precognition is thepremonitioncode.com. I'm wanting to talk with you about controlled precognition as a practice because I think it has two very powerful benefits, and I want to explain those before I go through the actual example of the practice. So for me, the two powerful benefits, aside from the possibility of potentially making money or doing a favor for someone else, is that one, by trying to predict a future event, so controlled precognition is trying to predict information about a future event that is not available, information that's not available at the moment you're predicting it, and it's not based on inference or memory or any kind of the regular prediction methods. It's based on so-called psychic ability. I don't know what the right name is, but information that seems to be coming from the future. Okay, I'm doing this with my hands to indicate that when you do have that experience, what it feels like is building a connection between two selves, your present self and the future self that has the information. And that experience is like a martial art. It feels to me that strengthens your connection with yourself over time and helps build forgiveness with yourself. And also it helps build wisdom, I think, as you learn information from your subconscious mind and your superconscious that come in as you're doing the work. So that's one, and we can talk about subconscious and superconscious another time, or you can read about that in the book. The second reason is I think it's really valuable for the world to develop these skills of precognition as long as we're using them for positive effects. For instance, we could piece together precognitive people who perform well on precognitive tasks and artificial intelligence together to predict terrorist attacks and unusual weather patterns and earthquakes and things that are more difficult to predict using other means. To me, that could be a real valuable boost for humanity. Not to mention that the more people who have the experience of not being separate from the future, then also have the experience of not being separate from each other and themselves. There's something about connecting with yourself over time that makes you feel a little less separate from other people, and that I think will have a positive impact on the world. So that's what I think is important about controlled precognition, and I want it to be accessible to everyone, which is why I built the website, thepremonitioncode.com. This is the Positive Precog. Ego says, show them how good you are, you know? So that's, I'm sorry, but that's still there, right? I have to admit it. And then another piece of me says, no, it's important for you to be correct, not only because you want to show them how good you are, but because then they could see, you know, how to do something right. And then there's a part of me that says, no, be wrong, so that they can learn how important it is to be okay with being wrong. So basically, the real answer is it's not my job to figure out whether I'm going to be correct or not. My job is to do the task. And all these emotional pieces are actually part of what I'm going to write down on this page to get rid of them, because they're not the pure task. The pure task is predicting this future event, and all that other stuff can get in the way. So I just have to write it down and admit that it's true. And that's one of the things that's helpful, is really getting clear about what's really true for you. So I'm clicking on the website here, hitting start, and that brings me to my very first step. Okay, my first step is prepare. Okay, here we go. So preparing means physical preparation. Get your paper ready, your pen, your computer if you need it. I like to have water. I like to have Post-it notes. Write your name. My code name is Spark. The date, the time. The date and the time get you grounded in where you are and when you are. Something very interesting with this stuff is it's not like reaching out into the future. It's like staying in the present so that you can get the information. I'm going to write my emotional state, which is scared, want to do well, afraid, I won't, or it won't be useful. Right, so then I drop my pen, let go of that. Physical state, just getting over a cold, and worked out this morning. I love when I work out in the morning rather than the afternoon. So I feel like the rest of the day I've already done my workout, so that's awesome. Menstrual state, that's my code for my hormonal state that I don't like to reveal publicly on YouTube, so I'm just going to put my code, drop my pen, and then I write my intention. That's actually my next step, so on the website I'm going to click to my next step, and it'll say, go ahead and write your intention, which includes the higher self handshake and the intention to reverse the polarity or receive information. So to receive, which is a more passive, like a cupping of a bowl, to receive information that is accurate and clear about the target today. But I'm going to say the correct target today. Each time my intention's a little bit different. And I'm going to add to use my desire to teach controlled precognition to do well in whatever way that works out, because I don't know the right answer. And then sometimes I like to say amen. Okay. Next step. We're both getting over cold, so you might hear my husband sniffle too. So the next step is connect to the target. It gives me a tag, which is 15626671. That's randomly generated. I like to say it out loud. It makes me feel like I connect with the tag. Who knows if what's true, but that's what it makes me feel. I also, down here, write it again, and I do a transit line. The intention of the transit line is to connect me to the target. So that's my intention. I'm going to put that over there. I'm going to write down the tag up here so I don't have to recopy it from the other page. I can leave that page there and let it go. So now I'm on this page. It's a new page. I assume I'm going to get new information without worrying about whatever was on that page. And my first bit of information is... what came in was this exclamation point, which is one of my ideograms for words or ideas. So I'm just going to write down words, ideas. I don't know if this is in there. I want to say that when I get an ideogram, I don't know if it's an element that's in the picture that I'm going to see, but that showed up, so I had to write it down. Let's see. So I get the sense of longing and the sense of universality. And openness. Like this is a nice. If these are words and ideas, I like them. They feel good to me. So the picture that comes to mind is a little bit jagged, and whatever that is, don't know. Okay, next page. 3, scan 2. Here's my tag 15626671, and this is the ideogram that comes up. It comes up faster than I can write it down. So as soon as I've written down the tag in my head, I've got, I have to make that shape because that's the thing that showed up. This is the shape I use this for vegetables, matter, or vegetation. It could also be fruits. I mean, in other words, anything that's like a plant or food. This is like yummy. It feels like breakfast time, like haven't eaten for a long time, and yum. Yeah, for some reason I want to put lots of M's. So M is coming up. I have no idea what this is, but M, whatever. Again, there's this practice of just writing down what shows up, and a shape of this, that shape. I don't know what's down here. So that's that. Okay. So then I'm going to do one more scan, and the number of scans I'm doing is dictated only by how I feel and how much information I want to get, and if I feel like I'm doing an okay job. And this is something mounded. This is normally an ideogram for a hill, but it feels like mounded something almost like elements in a round shape. Mounded. There's that M, mounded. Sometimes I notice I really can't spell very well when I'm doing this. It's like I go into this more dyslexic state usually a very good speller, but this kind of thing happens a lot. So, and here's the shape of a mound, mounded. And then there's elements. It's not like a smooth. It feels just rounded. It's even more than mounded is rounded. Even more than that, that feels important. So something round, but also maybe there's a mound. I sometimes do a general summary where I just write GS and I write the tag again. Sometimes I do this on a new page, but we have such simple information here. This time I feel like I can just say the general something is rounded, collection of elements. Again, I have no idea what this picture is. I do know every single picture in the data set, and I start to guess, like I have a analytical overlay that this is a couple of breakfast bowls with granola. You know, that's an analytical overlay, but I don't know. It's one of the 500 or so pictures, but I don't know what it is. Rounded collection of elements. We also had this food or tastiness. Yum. How do you spell yum? And this word, these words, I don't know if they're words, but they have they might not be words, but there's this idea of openness, of universality. And that's sort of my summary. And I didn't have the urge, can you look at my face for a second with the camera there, hon? Thanks. I didn't have the urge to merge with any of these elements. Sometimes I merge and I ask questions, but this time I just didn't have the urge to, so I didn't. So I did that the first time I did one of these videos. So anyway, I just do that sometimes, but not this time. So I think I'm done, so I'm going to write unmerge, because even if I never merged, I write unmerge, unmorph, unblend. This is essentially superstition, but it helps me feel like end of session, 1562, 6671, exit transit line. This makes me feel like I'm really done. And so that's the purpose of that. So cool, now we're going to see. So I'm going to click along here. So actually I forgot to click where to take me to step 4, which is learn and discern. So I did all that, made my general summary. And this next step is about disconnecting from the target. So I did that, wrote end of session, and did my exit transit line. We talk about the transit lines in the book. Some people do them, some people don't. So this is now the experience the target section. So what we're going to do is C2. It's a little slow right now, but oh, that's right, because I have a backup process going. Sorry about that. I have one. So this is going to be difficult to judge because I have one that has, the profile tells me, the graph shows me the percentage of the image that is each of these elements. So not a lot of food, but some. Not a lot of structure, not a lot of mounded hill or something, not a lot of water. And not a lot of animal, and a lot of animal human. So this is some kind of animal or human. It's mostly that. And profile B is just words and ideas. Okay, can you look at me for a second? So I've gotten myself into the perfect situation because I had this concern as I didn't want to get it perfect because then I wasn't illustrating, you know, what you learn when you don't get it right. And I didn't want to get it wrong because I wanted to illustrate, you know, how good I am and how to do it right? So basically, I'm doing it right in the sense that I'm writing down everything that came. But you notice we have a mix. We have the words and ideas was the first thing that came to me. And then this vegetable food, yummy breakfast thing, M. And then this rounded or mounded thing. So we have a little bit of a mountain hill, a little bit of plants and food over here. But I didn't get animal human, and usually when there's a subject, not always, I will glom onto that thing like glue because I notice people and animals. This one had words and ideas. That came in first. Now, sometimes what that comes in first works and sometimes it doesn't. I have a feeling, which could be wrong. This, by the way, this method of using these graphs is a new method, so people who have learned to do this kind of thing with other methods may find this difficult. So, and I am a person who has learned with other methods, and so I find this difficult myself. So I'm trying to teach myself how to parse this out. My sense is that the words and ideas, this sense of openness and universality, I connected best to. So I'm going to pick this profile B, and then we're going to see if I was right, and then we'll talk about it. So here I go. I'm saying yes. I said profile B. And then it'll take its time, and it says I'm correct. Okay. Oh, I love that. So I don't know what this picture was of the wavy, unless that was the handwriting. This was like, okay, this is it. Let's have a discussion. I want to talk about this. So what it says is, whatever is good for your soul, do that. So I love that. So the first thing that came was words, ideas, longing, universality, and openness. So that really speaks to that. I don't know what the squiggle is here. Could be the handwriting or nothing. Could be the W on the whatever. This next one is vegetable, vegetation, food, yummy, breakfast, yum. To me, these look like people. Can you look at me for a second? Look like people going, yay. So it's almost the feeling that this gives you. Also, by the way, in terms of whatever is good for your soul, I'm hungry. Can you look at me for a second? I'm hungry. And so it's possible that whatever's good for my soul is eating dinner, right? So this is the kind of cool stuff that happens when you're doing controlled precog and you're tapping into a target and then you tell yourself, oh yeah, okay, whatever's good for my soul, hungry. Again, there's a 50% likelihood, but to me, I connected to it on the very first one. We have a mounded something. I don't see that here. I don't see elements in a round shape. I don't see mounded. But then I started thinking about breakfast, so it's quite possible I was hungry. This is the fun part, to me, of connecting between the past and future. So first of all, just scientifically, we have to say there was a 50% possibility, so this could all be bogus. But because we know statistically that people could do this task, the task of controlled precognition in any case, at a rate higher than chance, and because I know that I have skill in that area, I start to get more confidence about making inferences like, oh, my superconscious was telling me that I was hungry, or it wants me to mound things up in a bowl, or it feels connected to this idea of whatever is good for your soul, do that. Those are neat little treasures that you get as you go along the way. And the more confidence you can build, even if you don't correctly get the right graph, but if you clearly connect to the target, like what if I had clicked on the other graph and there was something with a hill in that, right? I might say, oh, well, I got the hill. But feeling that I first really pinged on that one and I really connected to that target, and over time noticing those kind of things